Hello and welcome to Homeowner Talk. My name is David Stone and I'm the president of Nevada Association Services. And this is my co-host, John Leach, who's a partner in the law firm of Leach, Johnson, Song & Gruco. Each episode, we'll be here to talk with you about important homeowner topics. And we, along with our guests, are here to provide you with useful information on various subjects.
We also want to encourage you to interact with us and our guests each episode. So please visit our website at homeownertalktv.com and send us your questions. And we will try to answer as many of your questions as we can on the show and online.
Now today we're going to focus on landscaping, and we'll also visit with one of our city's most well-known residents. First, we'd like to welcome Jay Stoss of Classic Landscapes LLC. Jay, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you being here to share some wisdom with our viewers.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully I can do that.
Yeah, you will. First, Jay, tell our viewers a little bit about Classic Landscapes, about your business, your company, and maybe your work with common interest communities.
Okay, basically Classic Landscapes, we've been in business for 9 years now in the Valley, so we're going on our 10th year anniversary next year, which we're very excited about. We basically maintain over 80 communities throughout the Valley. That would include associations as big as Spanish Trail Master Association, Painted Desert Master Association, along as a lot of mid-range and lower range community associations. So it's a wide gambit of community associations that we deal with. We do service Rio Hotel and Casino, Stratosphere Hotel and Casino, and other casinos throughout town. We're a full-service C10 licensed contractor. We have certified arborists, certified irrigation auditors. We have over 90 employees, 30 trucks. And we basically can do anything you want from top to bottom, A to Z, when it comes to landscaping, construction, maintenance, you name it, we can do it.
90 employees, and to think we knew you back when. So.
When I had like 0 employees. That was about 10 years ago. So.
Jay, now you work all over the city.
Yes.
So tell us kind of what some of the trends that you're seeing over the last year.
A lot of the communities, for a long time they were going into turf conversions and learning how to save water and things like that, and that is still very important. However, a problem that's come up recently is that we have a lot of trees that are in decline. So throughout the valley, we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of trees that are in decline, that are dying because of inadequate irrigation. So this happens for 2 reasons. One, at the development stage, the developer came in and they put in adequate irrigation for the trees at the right time. But now that they're getting bigger, they need more water. Or second, over the last 5 or 6 years, because of the drought, we've really been pushing to convert a lot of the turf. So what have we been doing as an industry as a whole is coming in and doing turf conversions. Well, these trees were used to getting a lot of water from the grass, a lot of nutrients from the grass, and they're not getting that anymore. So what we're recommending to a lot of community associations is get in there, get busy, and get proactive on getting water to the root systems of these trees. Because as you know, trees are a very, very big investment for the community. When it comes down to the end, a bush small, it's a lot less expensive to replace. But when you're talking about a 30, 40-foot pine tree, it's much more expensive.
You see the mature trees and you replace them with a smaller tree. It just doesn't have the same effect.
No.
What are you finding as far as the economy? I mean, is it affecting these associations? You're seeing, can they afford to do this? Are they replacing? Are they just removing landscaping that dies? Or are they really going for it?
Actually, it did slow down when the recession started, but over the past probably 18 months or so, maybe 2 years, there's been an uptick in spending. So you're seeing a lot more associations that are coming out and they're saying, okay, we've done the smart thing, we scaled back, now it's time to reinvest in our communities, which is really good. They're back out there, they're working on plant replacements, tree replacements, rock replenishing, and irrigation retrofit.
Do you feel like you're having to educate the boards as well on how, yes, your landscape system or your watering system may have been sufficient at one time, but it's not now? I mean, most of them don't understand that even though it worked in the past, it's not sufficient now, and you have to get the more water lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, the technology, the industry, the actual irrigation industry is improving every day. So they're coming out with new nozzles, new spray heads, new emitters, new piping, things that we didn't have 5, 6, 7 years ago. So yeah, it's a constant re-education, not only for the industry, the landscape industry, but for the community as well. You go to board members and you say, hey, the spray heads that you had 5 years ago or 4 years ago may have been great, but now we're looking at spray heads that need to be revamped, revised, things like that.
Now you started a sister company called Tree Solutions.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Actually, we acquired the company. It's been in business for about 5 years. It's a full-scale tree service company. It works on overall tree management, which means we're looking at insect infestation, disease infestation. We're looking at whether trees need to be removed, replaced, a lot of trimming, thinning, and pruning. And then when it comes down to it is when you have a big windstorm, things like that, the foresight is let's get that tree thinned out so that you don't catch the wind sail effect where you get that wind and it blows that tree over. So Tree Solutions there for us to make sure that we're providing our clients the ability to make sure that their trees are protected.
I think a lot of people, I include myself in that group, don't necessarily know when you're supposed to trim trees, or that there's a right time to do it and a wrong time to do it. You find that
Or
that's
that
an
they
issue?
actually need to be trimmed, because you have some people in associations that see someone pruning back a tree and they're like, well, it was so big
Right.
and
Beautiful.
beautiful,
Well,
now
that-
you're making it look like a stick figure. But
Exactly. Well, that's the
you
thing.
need to do that.
It really is. It's kind of a science, even though it's kind of sometimes people don't consider it. It really is. And you want to get into it, and the right time to prune is now, between probably like fall to maybe early spring, mid-spring. Once it gets hot, you really don't want to prune a whole lot of trees. You can do a little bit of lifting here and there. But when the trees are under their most duress, that's when you don't want to do it. And when it comes to what you said, David, is there's certain trees that need to be pruned certain ways. So definitely you want to contact somebody who's an expert that can go out in the field, take a look at the tree. What are you dealing with? You know, you may not want to prune a tree so hard back at a certain time of year, or if it has a disease, you may want to look at pruning it hardcore right then. So.
And with your expertise, with this company, you're able to tell the board whether the tree can be saved, can be, but through the trimming or pruning or cutting back because of the disease, or maybe it has to be removed.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we have certified arborists. We'll come out, we'll take a look at it. It's a free analysis. We'll say, look, you may have, some sort of disease. You may have borer infestation. It's spreading. This is your remedies and the things that we need to do to take care of it.
And I think it's important for boards to keep in mind that their community managers are not tree experts, arborists. So you really do need to have someone to come in and give it and analyze the.
Well, just like
the
I'm not
situation.
experts in your field, you're not experts in
Right.
my field. So definitely we recommend coming out, calling somebody in that's an expert like us. Let's take a look at what we have to deal with and where we can make improvements with the trees.
Yeah, I'm not aware of an association that shouldn't have a landscape professional on their available to them. I mean, they just one of the service providers they just got to have.
Well, and there's all sorts of ways you can do that. You can contact the contractors board, make sure you're dealing with the landscape contractor, the water smart contractors through the Las Vegas Water District or Las Vegas Valley Water District. And then if you're going to employ a tree company, make sure that they're basically insured. They can take care of climbing trees and pruning trees at a high level in case there's an accident, that they're protected.
I know we had a viewer that had a question for
I
Jay.
think
Maybe we
we're
can
gonna
put that up there.
Put it up on the screen here. Suzette wrote, I've lived in my home for 14 years and our backyard's palm trees are growing so tall we can see them from the front. We're worried we will receive a letter from our association. What is my best option to stay in compliance?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, the best option is to start at the beginning. So before you go out and you plant your backyard or your front yard, you want to make sure what are you dealing with. And what happens is a lot of community members or a lot of residents, they go buy things at the nursery that look cute, or they're like, oh, this looks great. I'd love to put this here and that here. And they don't understand how big those bushes and trees are going to end up. Everything starts small, just like a child, and ends up very large. So in this case of Suzette's, we want to make sure that at the very beginning she started off with the right plan. Unfortunately, now with a palm tree, there's really not a whole lot you can do. Once it reaches above the height of the roof line and it is an issue for the association, then there's really only one remedy, which is removal and replacement with a suitable variety. And there's all sorts of suitable varieties. We can use chase trees, privet trees, things like that do well in the backyard that are partially shaded and don't need a whole lot of pruning.
Jay, in addition to all your work as a landscaper and working with the trees, you also are a member of CAI Nevada, and you're involved in Heroes at Home and Rebuilding Together. And I was wondering if you could tell our viewers just a little bit about that.
Okay, both of those programs, the Rebuilding Together and the Heroes for Homes, they're basically programs for people that don't have a whole lot of money, that need a complete refurbishing of their house. So we go in as the landscaper, but there's also people that come in and they tear down the roof, they redo the roof, they put in new AC systems, things like that. Our job is to come in and put in a low maintenance, good looking landscape for the people so they can come out and take care of that landscape without having a whole lot of effort. A lot of these people are elderly or they don't have the means to get out and actually maintain their landscape, so we want to provide something that's low maintenance.
Well, I appreciate it very much, because it's not just that you're great at what you do, but you're giving back to the community and trying to help people.
Absolutely.
I think that's so important. So I hope our viewers are paying close attention, because when you do look for a service provider, it's nice to know that you have one who really has the community at heart, not just your own place. So
Always there. So.
that's great.
Wonderful.
We really appreciate you being with us. Thank you so very much, Jay, for joining us. Now we're going to learn more about trees and irrigation from Pete Luna and Matt Borkowski of Classic Landscapes and Tree Solutions We met them out at a community in Northwest Las Vegas.
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about trees.
Great to be here.
Trees are a very important investment in a community. How do you care for mature trees?
Well, there's several things you need to consider when you're looking at mature trees. Certainly you want to look at the irrigation on a mature tree. With our desert climate, oftentimes trees have outgrown their irrigation, so you want to make sure that you have enough emitters to your trees. Typically between 8 and 12 emitters will get a mature tree. Oftentimes they're started out at 4 emitters, so oftentimes you need to retrofit your irrigation on mature trees to add additional irrigation. You also want to make sure that they're on a fertilization program, and you also want to maintain the pruning on a mature tree to make sure that the dead wood is not taking away some of the nutrients and light for the good portion of the tree. So,
what about developments and communities that are 5 to 7 years old that have trees that basically look like they looked 5 or 7 years ago? They're not growing, they still have the sticks in the side. What do you suggest for those trees?
well, sure, and some of that has to do with the irrigation end of it and possibly the fertilization, as I just spoke of. You want to kind of analyze each situation per its own situation, meaning that you want to see how much light it's getting. Is it getting the proper light? Is it getting proper fertilization? Is the soil good? So there's a variety of factors you need to consider. You certainly want to get an arborist in to take each situation as it is and identify those problems in order to fix them correctly.
Are there specific trees that do better in this climate?
Sure, we wanted to definitely go with drought-tolerant trees in our climate. Palo verdes are great, mesquites, ash trees, the pine trees, palm trees, something that's going to be able to handle the heat and full light.
When do you suggest is a good time? You talked about pruning trees. So when's a good time that you suggest that people should have their trees pruned?
Palm trees we're going to want to do at the end of June after they've all their seeds have come out. We'd be pruning the palms then. Most of the other trees you're going to want to do in the late fall when we're not in the hot summer months. But each tree is a little bit different, and you certainly want your arborist to identify each tree individually and set up a program for it.
So you mentioned setting up something with an arborist. What's the difference between an arborist and a landscaper?
Well, certainly we have an arborist in-house. An arborist is somebody who's specifically trained in trees. It's a little bit different than just trimming grass and blowing and maintaining the community. So we're fortunate we have an in-house arborist that's what they're educated to do. It goes beyond just looking at a tree. You certainly understand the species and the scientific makeup of the tree.
So if a tree is not pruned correctly, can you basically kill the tree?
You certainly can. You certainly don't want to top a tree. You don't want to cut off its major components. You definitely have to care for it and prune it properly.
Great. Well, thank you very much. That was very informative.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now I'm with Pete Luna from Classic Landscape and Tree Solutions. Welcome, Pete.
Nice to be here.
We're going to talk about water conservation today. And I understand that you've taught some classes in water conservation, so we're very excited to have you here on the show today. Can you just tell me a little bit of your background in water conservation?
Yes, I sold actually irrigation systems for over 20 years for an irrigation wholesaler, and I also for a couple of years taught the Southern Nevada Water Authority's Water Smart Contractor program in Spanish.
Oh, great. Can you just tell us a little bit about water waste?
Well, water waste can kind of be defined in the landscape in two ways. One way is the obvious runoff, water leaking in sprinkler systems, and overwatering of the landscape. That's one obvious way where you can waste water. Another way to look at it is also overwatering an existing landscape, just applying more water than the plants actually need.
So is this something that a homeowner or a board member would see, or is it something that only a landscaper can see? How do you know that you're overwatering?
You can see the obvious runoff because it's running on the streets, sidewalks, things like that. But landscape contractor maintenance companies also know exactly how much water to apply to the landscapes, so they should adjust the controller and only water to the plant's needs.
And turf conversions, do you handle turf conversions, and how does that fit in with the water waste?
Yeah, Classic Landscapes, we do a lot of turf conversions for our customers. And one of the programs that the SNWA has is to do a turf conversion program, and it's one of the easiest and fastest ways to actually attain some water savings in the landscape by converting non-functional areas of turf into xeriscape landscapes.
So do you actually work with Southern Nevada Water Authority? Like, will you bring the Water Authority and the association together to try to make this conversion work? Or?
That is correct. The Southern Nevada Water Authority has a rebate program that they provide to the end user, and we work very closely with them in making sure that all the steps in the process for that conversion are followed and done to their specifications.
So how does fertilization work after the conversion?
Yeah, one of the things when you do a turf conversion, the plants now are being watered by a drip irrigation system. And so the way we approach fertilization with those systems is we do tank fertilization systems, and that is a way installing a tank in the irrigation system that feeds fertilization every time that the irrigation system waters the plant. So it applies the fertilizer every time it waters.
And community associations are always looking ways to save money. Do you have any suggestions of how they can save money, whether it's the turf conversion or other ways that the community can save money?
Yeah, one is to hire obviously a landscape maintenance company, a licensed one, a contractor. And one of the easiest ways they can do it is to make sure that they invest, renovate, and always inspect their irrigation system to make sure that it's operating in the most efficient manner possible.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all your information. It was very informative. We're going to actually put some of the turf conversion information on our website so people can check it out on Homeowner Talk.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
That was great information and helpful advice. Now it's time for our community spotlight. Andrea Behrens also visited with one of our city's most prominent homeowners, Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman. Let's take a look.
Now we're joined with Mayor Goodman. Thank you, Mayor, for inviting us to your home.
Well, it's my honor to have you. I love our backyard, so it's nice to have wonderful friends come here and visit.
Thank you. It's a beautiful backyard. This must be years in the making. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, you know, we moved in here 36 years ago, and the yard looked sort of different, but there was a lot of the growth here at that time. The more mature trees, we have elms over here, but most of this, we had a fire in the backyard 5 years ago, so we did a lot of replacement.
So do you think this is the finished project, or do you think it's a work in progress,
Oh,
I guess?
no. In fact, we're without flowers now. Normally, I love flowers around the pool, and over there's a lily pond that's the home to about 45, 50 of the large koi, the Japanese koi. And so I like flowers around that too. But I'm always transferring things out, putting ivy up. In fact, that isn't quite, I don't know the name of that ivy, but it's got flowers in it. And we just love to sit in the backyard. We have the best weather in the country all the time. And so this is where we sit. You feel miles away, and it's pretty much enclosed by all the greenery.
So to talk about the greenery and changing everything, how do you keep up with the water conservation and everything that's going on?
Well, that's been an issue. We actually looked to go ahead and do artificial turf. We looked at desert landscaping, and while it's lovely, the heavy watering takes place June, July, and August. And when you add it up to the watering the rest of the year, where you have it 1 day a week or maybe 2 or 3, it varies, as you know. We added and we said we loved the smell of the grass. And after we priced the artificial turf, believe me, do we love the smell of the regular grass. So it is something, and we do watch. We watch in the house, we watch our energy, and the water is something that we're very concerned about, of course, for everybody. But with the schedule we're on, I think we're okay with it.
I noticed these beautiful trees are so lush and green, and now it's great because it's fall with the colors. Do you have any tips to keep them that way?
Well, first of all, this is our 1 day of fall in Las Vegas, as we all know. And so we have those beautiful trees have sort of like a cotton ball for about 2 days in the early spring. They're beautiful, but they also fall in the swimming pool. And we do have somebody take care of our pool because, believe me, that would be an all-day project, and Oscar's not about to do any labor around this house. But as far as keeping it green, most of the trees that you see are non-deciduous. And they hold their color, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to block out the surroundings. So all the trees except for these 2 that are now in the fall mode, the Mondale pines over there behind me, obviously those stay green all year, and the dwarf pine, palm tree. The only ones that really are deciduous besides those 2 are the beetles. They have beetles, they're elms, and they had beetles, and I was worried we were going to lose them, but fortunately pest control took care of that. And then we have the cottonwoods, and those are deciduous. But back here in the backyard, it stays very green for us, which we love.
This is obviously an older community, but for new communities, do you have any advice about trees? Because if you're in a new community and they plant these trees, sometimes they don't make it, or they stay very small. So I know that this is 30 years in the making, but do you have any advice for trees that did not work for you?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the hole in which the tree is planted, that it's deep enough and that the soil is appropriately fixed to have all the nutrients that a tree needs. Now, we've been very successful, except there's one tree over there that we keep replanting, and I know it needs to get down deeper into the earth, into the area, so that it can really get roots. But or else it's a different type of tree than the other Japanese privets over there. But I think what people have to do is, if they, depending where they live, do they have any choice? Does the builder say, in this community you will have this, this, and this? And of course our oleander back here behind me, which flower, I think there's some restriction in Las Vegas on planting them now. We have loved them because, I mean, you certainly don't want to let a horse near them because it will kill them. But, and the olive trees. Olives are great, especially if you can get a non-fruiting olive tree. Those are beautiful. But the Japanese privets hold, there's so many of the different variations that we have, but ours really was to block out. We didn't want to see the street. We didn't want to see our neighbors. And of course, you have Joshua trees, you have different variations of palm trees, and a lot of ivy along the wall. But it is an older neighborhood, and in fact, this house is 10 years older than when we bought it. So this is year 36 for us. So it was built 10 years before that, in 66.
So how have you seen over the years, now you've been here for 30 years, how have you seen the community change with the homes and the trees and just basically the whole community itself?
Well, in the immediate area of the Scotch 80s, it's held pretty well. We've had new people come in. We've had a lot of celebrities live in the neighborhood over the years, actors, actresses, hotel owners, and of course, as the new developments have taken place, offering a grander, bigger, whatever to build, they've moved on. But we have particularly seen this hold very well. You'll see as you drive around the neighborhood a lot of empty lots. Many of them had homes that were flattened, and so they're vacant lots at this point, but there are a lot of the older homes still here. And it's a community. It was an 80-acre ranch by a Scotsman whose name escapes me. And then most of them are just under half-acre lots, although there's still, I think there's 1 acre lot available here. And so you'll see new homes. You can tell there's one directly across the street from us. It's probably 15 years old. It's brick. It's 2-story. I can't think of any 2-stories in the neighborhood prior to that one. But since then, there have been others.
So now that the community is changing, the restrictions have been changing a little bit?
You're always against, the traffic's coming in, if you're going out, for me anyway, and it's so close to downtown, it's so close for access to the freeways, it's just the best neighborhood because you can look out as you exit the properties here and look to see what's happening with the roadways and then decide, no, I'll go another way. The I-15's right nearby. And of course, we have a fire station, number 10, right down the street here. And it's just a quiet neighborhood. It's not gated. It's an open neighborhood, which most of the people here love, and adjacent with Park Circle and Edgewood. I mean, there are just some beautiful areas here, and across the street as well in the Gilmary area. That's a beautiful area as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Mayor.
Pleasure.
We appreciate it. And I'm sure our viewers will love to see the landscaping at your home.
Well,
It's
I want you
incredible.
to know, too, we do have a homeowners association, and that was just most recently developed. I'm going to say probably in the last 5 to 8 years. We'd never had one before, and very supportive. In fact, we're getting a new marker in the area that's going to be down on Shadow Lane just as you come off of Charleston, and it will say Scotch 80s. So we're very excited excited about it, and that's something our homeowners has done for us. So we're really excited about it, but we love this neighborhood, and it's just quiet except for the helicopters and anything else that's going on. But it's really lovely, and thank you, Andrea, for having me and coming to our home. Oscar would be proud to see that you've come here to film it.
Thank you
He'd
very
just be
much.
sorry he missed being here.
Thank you again.
Uh-huh.
Well, it was great to hear from the mayor. When we come back, we'll answer a question from one of our viewers.
Come on, guys. You know better than that. Just had to check that text, didn't you? Bet you didn't even notice you were driving into a school zone where a kid could step right in front of your car at any moment. And you! The crosswalk's only a few yards that way. You didn't even look to see if any cars were coming. And of course, Chatty Chatterson over there was a big help waving you out into traffic. Way to go, Mom. And now here we are on the brink of disaster, all because nobody bothered to pay attention. Wow, that was a very close call. Too bad I'm not real.
Are you upside down on your mortgage? You're not alone. Good advice shouldn't cost. Don't pay for what should be free. Call Free Home Aid Nevada at 229-HOME or visit freehomeaidnevada.org.
Welcome back to Homeowner Talk. You know, we get a lot of interesting questions from our viewers, and today's questions is a good one from Marvin. He writes, I want to make some home improvements on the exterior of my home, and those improvements happen to be visible from the street. What do I have to do to have them approved by my HOA? And if they reject my plans, can I appeal it? John, I'm tossing this one over to you.
All right.
What would you tell our viewer?
Well, the term improvements is usually defined in the association's governing documents. And so virtually everything on the outside of your unit, whether it's painting, room additions, patio covers, landscaping, sidewalk, all of that is something that has to be approved by either the board or the architecture review committee. It'll depend on what the document's saying. More often than not, it's a committee. And so the committee, you have to submit an application, may require drawings, the list of the plants that you might put in, the color scheme of any painting, and it all goes to the architecture review committee in your approval, and it has to be approved before you commence. And that's critical. Don't, they always like it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. No, get in there, not in this case. Go in there and get it approved before you start. And sometimes they'll actually require what they call a homeowner awareness statement, where the homeowners that are near you or looking at you will also be aware that you're making the change. It's not an approval, but an aware. Is there an appeal process? If there's a committee, there's almost always an appeal process to the board. If there's not a committee, if it's just the board, the appeal process is kind of ineffective because it's the same people that already made the decision.
Great. Well, thanks, John. We would like to thank all of our guests today, Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman, along with Jay Stoss, Matt Borkowski, and Pete Luna of Classic Landscapes LLC and Tree Solutions. That's all for this edition of Homeowner Talk. We'd like to thank all of our partners on this show: HOA Management, Alliance Association Financial Services, Classic Landscapes LLC, Tree Solutions, GetDocsNow.com, Western Risk Insurance, and Nevada Association Services, Inc. Remember, you can always find information about this program, and you can also drop us a line at homeownertalktv.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Homeowner Talk.